Good morning. So this morning I've got yet another message from Jesus about the importance of spending time with Him. So here goes. My children, think of how much time that you like watching your favourite TV shows and in meeting your friends, and ponder on the amount of time you spend with me. Where a man's heart is, so is his treasure. How will you have any heavenly treasures if you spend such little time pondering on heavenly things? My children, you are not made merely to enjoy living on earth like the animals. You are made to have a deep and personal communication and union with me, while also living on earth and carrying out your human activities. How sad, my children, that so very many of you are utterly wasting your lives on earth for things that are utterly useless and unimportant. You scold and correct your children when they waste their time from their studies, and yet you yourselves are guilty of a far greater neglect, wasting your time on worldly pursuits. Convert, my children, both your hearts and lives, and take hope and heed from the lives of the saints. I am all mercy, my children, but not even my mercy can take away the divine justice of my Father. Conversion is the only way, my children. Well, what to say? Jesus, you see, is looking on everything, at everything, always from a heavenly stance. And it's just like a parent looking at their child, thinking you haven't done your homework, you haven't done your studies, you're going to fail your exam, and what's going to become of you in the future? You're going to end up in some awful job on minimum wage and unhappy. Now Jesus is saying the same thing from a spiritual point of view. He's saying, look lads, you're not praying, you're not taking this seriously, you're not spending enough time with me, you're not rooting out the different problems or vices in your hearts, you're wasting your time on worldly pursuits just like those children, you're wasting your time on maybe friends all the time, TV, careers, all this stuff, and at the end of the day, come your death, you're going to have nothing left over, you're going to have no heavenly treasure stored up, and what is going to become of you? And you see, Jesus is saying this to us in the exact same way as a mother would be saying it to her child. It's not scolding for the sake of scolding. He's just being real. He's saying heaven is real, hell is real, purgatory is real, all these things are real. And if we don't take it seriously, and if we don't take the call to prayer seriously, then what are we doing? It is literally the same as not studying at all, your exams coming, and somehow fooling yourself thinking it'll be all fine, when in actual fact it won't. And so Jesus says, where a man's heart is, so is his treasure. How will you have any heavenly treasures if you spend such little time pondering on heavenly things? So in other words, the church has given us, you see, the tools, if you like, to accumulate heavenly treasures. And the tools, of course, are things like prayer, rosary, confession. We have all sorts of things like fasting, indulgences, praying for others, all these type of things, which basically accumulate graces for us, accumulate graces also, of course, for other people. But Jesus is saying, if instead of doing that, we spend our time watching the television, if instead of doing that, we just spend the time aimlessly meeting friends and socializing, then we're just going to have nothing, basically. Nothing heavenly, no heavenly treasures. And I remember once when I was in Ireland, it was a man, Eddie Stone is his name, and he has a healing gift. And he was praying over this person, and as he was praying over this person, he said, he just got this image of 2 pieces of wood. And he said, the Lord has shown me your heavenly house. He's shown me that all you have accumulated is 2 little pieces of wood. There's no bricks, there's no nothing, absolutely nothing. And that was just a vision the Holy Spirit gave him, not to humiliate the person, but to convict the person, and to say to the person, basically, you haven't been praying, you haven't been taking prayer or anything seriously, and if you were to die tomorrow, figuratively speaking, that's all you have. You have 2 little pieces of wood, and that's it. You don't even have a house. If you were living on earth, you couldn't even shelter from the rain in it. Whereas other people then, who he was praying over, he had visions, I think, of houses and castles and all sorts of things. And again, of course, they're symbolic, they're metaphorical images. But these things symbolize the amount of graces and the accumulation, basically, of graces that people can accumulate while on earth. And then, of course, that will stand to them, if you like. It's in heaven then that we shine with the same light. And so Jesus says, "How very sad, my children, that so very many of you are utterly wasting your lives on earth for things that are utterly useless and unimportant." And to be honest with you, that is very strong language. Number one, to say utterly wasting your life on things that are utterly useless. Now, for Jesus to say that, it is striking, and yet it is true. You see, Jesus is saying we're supposed to live on earth. He says that earlier. We are not merely to enjoy living on earth like the animals. We are made to have a deep and personal communication and union with Jesus while also living on the earth. But if we skip that part, and if we decide not to pray and not to put our heart into what we're doing and to discern, and to just jump, if you like, into a worldly type of life where careers and houses and jobs and cars and all these type of things are our only goal, well, basically Jesus is saying we're just living like animals, and we're actually utterly wasting our lives. We're on things that are utterly useless. Utterly useless, because in the eyes of eternity, a big house, a big car, these things are absolutely, totally and utterly useless. But in the eyes of eternity, grace, sanctifying grace, all these things, that is the real treasure. The sanctifying grace that you acquire while on earth, that goes into your soul, that is going to be with you for all of eternity. Whereas the new car you might have outside the door, or the extension you make to your house, that won't even last a lifetime down here, not to mention lasting eternity. And so Jesus is frustrated with us because he wants what's best for us. Jesus would like that mother, he would like every single one of us to have the best eternity possible, and to turn to him, to turn to his mercy, and to throw ourselves, like jumping literally into the ocean of his mercy, swimming in his mercy, and basically accumulating, if you like, as many graces as possible. That is what Jesus would like, because he is just utter generosity. But he needs us to accept his generosity, to be thirsty for his generosity, and to cooperate with his generosity. So then Jesus says, "Convert, my children, both your hearts and lives, and take hope and heed from the lives of the saints." Now, often he says that, convert your hearts and lives, because we all know many people who've had a big conversion, and they experience Jesus or something, and they want to give Jesus their lives, but then they also like their big car, they also like their big house, they also like their fancy clothes, and they find it very difficult at times to convert their lives. And that's why Jesus is asking us to convert both our hearts and our lives, so that our hearts and lives, if you like, can be working together, and there's no contradiction between our love for Jesus and the lifestyle that we're living. And he says to look at the lives of the saints, because the saints are wonderful examples of people who had massive conversions and who totally and utterly converted their entire lives and did wonderful things, and that's what Jesus wants for us. So finally he says, "I am all mercy, my children, but not even my mercy can take away the divine justice of my Father." So in other words, and then he finishes by saying conversion is the only way. So what he's trying to say is all the mercy in the world that Jesus has, which is infinite, cannot take away the reality of heaven, hell, purgatory, all these things, and the need for conversion. Conversion of heart is the only way. There is no other way. And that is what Jesus is saying. There is no back door into heaven. There is no window open round the back. There is no sneaky shortcuts. Even Our Lady, sometimes we hear that she'll take us in the back door. Well, she won't. She'll take us all right, but she'll bring us up to the front door to Jesus, where our souls would need purifying, our souls might need purgatory, our souls might need whatever. So there is absolutely no other way possible to heaven besides converting our hearts and converting our souls. And Jesus is telling us it would be far better and smarter, if any of us are smart, the smartest thing to do would be to start now and to spend as much time on earth converting our hearts, our lives, our souls and prayer, so that we will be shining like bright, bright, bright stars in heaven for the glory of God and for the glory of his mercy and his love. So on that note, let me encourage every single one of you to give absolutely everything to Jesus. Don't hold back a single thing. Give everything to him, because he has and wants to give everything to us. But we have to make way for his grace, if you like, and we have to have these open and surrender hearts, that we are ready basically to just say, Jesus, I am yours. Do with me what you will. So on that note, have a great day and talk to you soon.